So last week, I thought through over 70 demos with my partners. I observed a pattern from my partner sales team, and I can tell you exactly when they have already lost the deal. It's when the prospects lean back and says, "So, can you just tell me the price?" This is one of the many signals that reveals to you that you have actually lost the whole momentum. Now, they are not really at that point curious anymore about your product. It's because they are rushing to the end. And if they are rushing to the end, you have failed or your sales team didn't nail it. As simple as that. So to give you perspective, at Expand East, we spend most of our time generating outbound demos for tech companies in Asia Pacific. Outbound prospects don't wake up thinking about you. You have to earn their attention first. You earn it by leading with relevance, like real use cases, connecting to the problems they relate to, and have social proof and clear differentiation. Why are you different? So before you even think about clicking with them through your product, your demo structure should be completely different. Inbound is different. They already know you, probably via your website or one of your marketing collaterals, and they spend some time reviewing who you are. So when they are coming to you, your sales team or yourself, if you're doing the sales, your job is going to be way easier. You're just going to have to check if they're the right fit for your product or service based on your price tiering and so on, and tailor the conversation towards it and guide them towards the decision. It's that simple. Inbound is way easier than outbound sales. That's why I have built a fit flow method, which usually is a different track for inbound than outbound, each with its own rhythm and structure. And today, I'm breaking down 6 demo mistakes that are wrecking your win rates and stopping you from even getting to proposal stage, or at least a second meeting, and how can you fix them one by one. So what makes a demo win? There's a losing demo and there's a winning demo. Now, the losing demo, usually the duration is around 30 minutes below, and the seller is just talking non-stop, talking. It's like a monologue session. He has a script or she has a script, and they are just not done, the whole demo, and any questions. Now, outbound versus inbound. The question is, when the demo was secured, was it an outbound prospect that we reached out to them, or was it a prospect that came to you? Completely different demo structure. I have been seeing every single time, especially Expand East clients and partners, we book a demo for them. They have the same annoying inbound demo. Who we are, our building is so fancy, it's so big, so beautiful, look at us, so fantastic. And that's what we do for you. We can help you with 1, 2, 3. I don't care. But the winning one should have been about what is your problem, and I will tailor some use cases in the beginning of the demo. Obviously, a lot of social proof. And why are we different than any other product? Maybe the prospect that came was only a price problem. Let's say he's working with AWS. Apparently, your company have cheaper rates than AWS for cloud services. That's it. This is the only reason why he came to your demo. So why I bombard him with so many annoying features that he doesn't care about makes the demo redundant, and in fact just alienates the person, and the result will not get you anywhere. So at least you need to see second demo or a second meeting. He wants to continue having this conversation with his stakeholder. That's a winning demo for you. Or he tells you, what, because he's a decision maker, maybe send me a proposal. That's what we call a winning demo. So there are 6 identified mistakes in demos, because my expertise is mainly securing demos for tech companies, whether it's in the mid-range companies or startups, doesn't matter. These 6 mistakes have been a big problem. Lack of understanding, over-talking, overloading features, weak CDAs, ignoring objections, not leveraging social proof. I'm going to walk through it one by one to share with you exactly how it can be fixed. Okay, so there's a famous quote. He said, "People do not buy your product, solution, or idea. They buy stories that are attached to it." And this is what differentiates between a good salesperson or a bad salesperson during the demo. Can you make it in a storytelling way or no? Now, mistake number 1 is about dumping features without context in the beginning of the demo. This is a classic problem case that I have seen every single time. First feature demo, always like, okay, so we have this feature and we have about 70 plus features, and our product is cutting edge and it has been proven to be blah, 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 blah. And you keep going on that for the next 20 slides. It's so annoying breaking down even that features. The whole thing is gonna get the prospect zoned out. Now, how can you fix that? The way you fix it is basically not lead with features at all. You lead with problems and identify the problem. So you have to have a problem framing demo, meaning that you understand the prospect problem. So you can come up with, okay, so basically we've been working with XYZ companies and we have seen about 3 problems that we've been able to fix. One of it is a pricing problem. It was incredibly high, especially if they're using this XYZ tool. The second problem that we have seen is they have over about 30 plus tools that are fragmented all over the place. We consolidated that. The third problem is, okay. Then you ask for feedback. Which problem you think is the best or the most annoying or the most relevant problem for you? And he will start to say, well, honestly, we don't have an issue on the pricing, but I think we have been using so many tools that are not talking to each other. So they're all in silos. And if it's possible, if you guys can help us to consolidate that, that would be amazing. That's it. You got your framing correctly and you're gonna go all 100% all in on that specific problem. Even the use case you plan to highlight, you only highlight that specific problem and how you fixed it. This is what we call you're getting the momentum. Now, engagement can decline with feature dumping. The outcome is horrible. And I will discuss with you later on what do I mean by that via showing more use cases and even more citations from co-founders. But the question is, if you didn't get to know from the prospect you're talking to, very high chance you lost the whole momentum of the demo. And this is citing few feedbacks, and I can read it for you, which is one of the founders mentioned early on, I made a big mistake on my demos. I showcased my product too much. Here's what happened. The moment I learned my product, my demo started getting longer. I was going over way too many features, feature dumping basically. I spent time on things they didn't care about, didn't anchor with, and lost their attention. Now, there's a better way, he said. I went from showing everything on demos to focusing on features that would solve my customer's problem. Second, what makes us different from our competition. Keep everything else high level. You'll condense your demo, avoid information overload, become targeted and specific. That's exact. And not only that, people will remember your demo. So this is the beauty about it. People will remember your demo. All your prospects will remember your demo. This brings me to the second problem fixed narrative, which is always look into what solution that I have that I can connect to that problem. So this is very important. And this is what exactly how Zora set the stage with an industry-wide narrative before diving into the product. So what Zora did is working on the subscription economy. So the way they led the demo is quite interesting. They basically put the us versus them approach. So this is something you need to do also in your demos to play with, and you can test us versus them, or the old model versus the new model. So this is our model, this is a usual model, and you even can do exactly as you can see in the slide. Old business model, product, and this is focusing more on the distribution channel approach. Product, and then goes to various channels, online, distributors, retailers, sales agents, and then customers. The new model, as you can see, is this circle. Now, you might tell me, but there's nothing yet inside. This is where you start conversation. So you need to ask them, are you currently operating on the old model? And new business model is something, this is where you set the stage for yourself. So this is exactly how Zora leads the demos. They don't want to share so much in the beginning, but it's a very good hook. A good hook to retain the engagement of the prospect. How does this new business model work? Do you have use cases about it? How is that different from the old model? I thought the old model is the way to go. How the new model is going to be profitable for me? Is that even like a plug and play thing for my business model? I have a lot of questions. And you need to manage that. And you already set the stage for it. That's what we call us versus them approach. An old way, a new way. Bam. Your demo will explode. Not in a bad way, but in a much more positive narrative way. And that's what Zora did. And this is a brilliant move from the founder and CEO of Zora. He even said, this changes how we sell. This changes the very culture that we need to bring to our organizations, away from products and focus on customers and deep relationship in this community. And speaking of relationship, if you're focusing on Asia Pacific or Southeast Asia or Asia in general, it's a relationship-led sales. What does that even mean? Meaning that when you jump on a demo call, this is a completely different approach than the Western approach. So people would want to build a relationship with you first. Yes, you explain the problem. Yes, you related to the problem. Time for you to ask them for a second meeting. Time for you to connect with them on a second meeting. That's exactly what you need to do. And this is what we call the momentum. The momentum of building relationship. One demo is not enough in Southeast Asia, Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, Australia. No, it's not enough. You need to go to a second one, a third one, probably a physical meeting after that online demo. This is how you can build strong relationship. And this is where you leverage from your very strong demo, very strong momentum. You nailed it. Bam, build a relationship with it. So this is a classic case of how Expand East was tackling a problem in a conversation, okay? So when we're doing outbound, it's also another tricky problem in terms of you're going to reach to a cold person who have no clue who you are, but we know that based on his position and his KPIs in that organization, that he is most likely the right fit person to talk to about that product. Now, you're not going to lead with a product, or you're not going to lead with a feature. You're going to lead with identifying the problem first. And this happens even on a granular level. We call this the context or the pre-context before even making them jump on a demo. So for example, you can see here, do you utilize third-party APIs for training your AI models? We found that many professionals face challenges due to the high cost associated with API calls from third-party providers. And he said, yes, I'm working on that things. And then it continued, right? I understand. I help professionals like you build self-hosted LLMs and plan technical setup. This helps speed up the API calls process and reduce the cost per call. Would you be interested in discussing this further? Yes, I would. So now you know this person is going to jump on a demo. Now imagine the demo, okay, is jumping about API calls. And honestly speaking, the guy came from this context. And then he jumps on a demo. Imagine I'm a cloud service provider and I'm just going to simply pitch about everything about my product. What do you think this person would do? He will just simply scream in his head, oh my God, why am I here in this stupid demo? That's exactly when you have no context at all about that prospect. And he came from outbound. So he doesn't wake up in the morning, think about you. He didn't even come voluntarily to you, but he is the right fit to you. So you're going to change your demo structure to be based on that specific problem and how you solved it using your use cases and why are you different in solving it. Maybe your pricing is different, maybe your structure of how you bill is different, and so on. This is exactly the right way to do it. And same goes, this is what we call the classic case, the flow of how you would want the demo to go. So the problem is, I identified it, let's say the pre-sales team identified it for you. So your demo will be only based on that problem. You don't come up with random problem. This is a problem that I have been having myself with all our partners on Client and Expand East. That we booked the demo for them, right? And they come to the demo. And guess what? They pitch the same old document they have that they have been using for the inbound, which is so annoying. And guess what? The person during the demo, what's the price? Oh, well, what's your pricing like? And he is not motivated. He doesn't give feedback. He's actually annoyed. Deep down, he thinks like, they initially said third-party APIs, and now they are talking about, cloud computing optimization. It's so generic. What is this bullshit? So this is exactly what's happening. And this is the one that I have been seeing in the last week. 70 demos that I have attended, 50 out of 70 were nightmare. They come, it's an outbound, they came by a specific context. Guess what? Bam. It's like the whole thing. And then they say, well, I don't think the conversion rates are so good, I don't know what's happening. Maybe the quality of the lead. And they start to blame the lead quality. But the problem is the demo sucks. Your demo is not even engaging. The guy came to you on a specific problem and you're like, boom, here you go. Like imagine going to an ice cream shop and it says upfront ice cream, okay? But you go here's a burger. If it's a burger for you, we also have ice cream, but let's just start with burger first. Maybe a pizza, maybe some rice. Let's wait for the ice cream later on. I just skip for ice cream. That's exactly what they are doing. So you will not hear what does this do again, because when you have clarity in your demo, you're not going to hear that. This brings me to the second mistake, over talking. Bam, 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 no rest. 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, one shot, the salesperson is talking. I don't know, with enthusiasm or no enthusiasm, I don't really care. It's a matter of you just keep on talking and there is no real feedback loop. This brings me to the point of attention dips is going to be a big problem for you. Or let's say your customer interaction is like 35% and you're taking almost the whole convo. What's going to happen is you're going to have an attention dip. And if you keep talking more than 5 minutes straight or 3 minutes straight, that's exactly what's going to happen. So you need to make sure the demo is interactive. How are you going to do that? So there's an attention meter. And this is something you need to be observant of when you start a demo. Usually it's supposed to start with a high engagement. And then after this, you will have some sort of monologue and then again, engage them again and so on. Once you reach a point when you see that they are asking a question about the price and you're like just quarter way of your demo or halfway of your demo, you are screwed. That you lost the momentum, you lost the meeting, you lost almost everything. So this is something you need to be careful of. Monologues makes your demo forgettable and in fact even uncomfortable. What do I mean by that? So there is a feedback from Sarah Jones. She's one of the leading solution conversation specialists. She's a chief solution officer. She's saying that, I hate to break it to you, sales executive. She's talking to the sales executive. But if your demo is more of a monologue than a dialogue, it's more almost guaranteed to fail. Monologues bulldozes feedback, feature focus, and Q&A at the end. Dialogue encourages feedback, customer-focused Q&A throughout. Remember the end game, which is sale plus adoption, and stay simple. That's what. So dialogue is better than monologue. The other one says, love it, always start my demo with that very comment. He says basically in his comment, this is not a scripted monologue. It is a dialogue. It is your demo, not mine. And I want to make sure I have answered every question you have before I leave today. Now, everybody have a style, okay? You can have your own style of how you would want to lead the demo. You can say like the way Jean Voiles did it, but I'm not also doing that as well. I have a way of doing it, which is I always need to start a conversation with, first of all, I'm happy to have you and I would like to discuss a little bit more about your current sales flow. I see you guys are doing amazing work already. I've checked blah, 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 and I've seen you're building your pipeline in this XYZ way. Is this correct? Now, I usually come with an assumption and it might be correct, it might be not, it's okay. But when you come with something, right, they will say, no, that's not what we do it. So right now what we're doing is running ads and we're getting this and doing that. But the problem is our pipeline is blah, 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 blah. This is what we call, you can build the momentum via assumption or via some initial research or public signals you found about them, or they have been mentioned somewhere or you've seen that they are using certain stack and you build the assumption based on that. So usually I would lead a demo with this kind of approach. Building an assumption is very much of a question. It does have some sort of context and it can be wrong, it can be correct. So it doesn't really matter. Again, these are some of the feedbacks I also found on Reddit. One sales engineer confessed, I'll pause here. Any questions? It was a nightmare scenario. So this is also another way of a one-sided that you did a bad job. So these are the early signals that it's a one-sided. Do you have any questions? No. Is there any feedback? No. All good. This means you suck big time. Your demo, not only it's a monologue combined with the first mistake. Like there is no feedback and it's impossible to have a prospect that says, I don't have a feedback. When you're asking generic questions, you have no specifics. You did not gouge for the problem in the early stage. And you're giving random use is not even relevant. And most likely your social proof is just random. It's not even related to something that he would relate to. As simple as that. And you can see it here, 5 signs of your demo's disaster. We have this in the slide. Now these slides, by the way, I will be sharing it with you in the YouTube description so you can have a look at it if it's on LinkedIn description as well. Now you will find people that I dropped this bomb on a prospect young engineer. It was awesome. I got it through. Sounds like you're bored and this is really not useful for you. So all of this stuff is a way to gouge for interest, but honestly, it's a desperate way. If you did it wrong, okay, and it's just a monologue, high chance everything will fall apart. So is there a way to pull back? If let's say you did this, is there a way to pull back? Yes, there is. So how can you do it? You need to always make sure to have this kind of print demo. So always say something specific about the problem and wait for the feedback specifically on that problem. And if you say, no, this problem is fine. Okay, then what other issue you think you have in this organization if it's not related to that problem? So it's always about building based on his feedback that he said, nope, don't have an open question, never do. And the other thing is every single time you have your demo, you should have this kind of flow. Okay, find a problem they relate to. Okay, so make sure you find that. If you don't find it, we have a problem already in the demo. The demo is falling apart. The second is show a use case that most likely relevant to the problem. If it's a generic use case, make sure to package it that how it solved that specific problem. Okay, pause and ask what solution are they currently using to solve that kind of problem, or are they exploring other solutions that might solve this kind of problem? This is a big deal because that's the reference point. This is where they frame you. You are here. And they are in their head subconsciously thinking about other solutions that might be also solving that problem, maybe cheaper. So you need to dig a little bit deeper onto what the reference point and then get their input. So for example, if let's say you finished already the product, so you got the problem, you showed the use case, you ask them questions about if this use case is similar to their environment. No, our environment is much more simpler. We're doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Bam, you got something here. And then you ask them what solution. Well, we are usually using Microsoft solutions, so I'm not sure how would you fit in that. And then you can start about we can integrate or we can shift. So this is what we call you're leveraging from what they are currently doing. And when you get their input, you can always ask them like, look, I've explained to you all the benefits of our product. What is actually standing out from your point of view on these benefits? And he might actually tell you, like, honestly, none of them are interesting except for this one. You know why is this important? Because once you're doing a proposal or this next CTA, the second meeting, this is where you're going to double down on. So it's either a second meeting, you're going to double down on that, or a proposal, you're going to put this as a highlight. This is what we call a winning proposal. So your demo is everything. Okay, third mistake. Every single sales I have seen, they are doing this problem, which is saving the best for last. Don't do that. So if you have something to brag about, a cutting edge technology, a flagship product you have, do not save the best for last. Start with it as a hook. And this is exactly what we call the upside down demo. Upside down demo is start with the basic features and then set up the momentum, thinking that they are setting the stage. That's not the way it works nowadays. So you need to start with a key value and something that you have a flagship in your value that is so much important that you think this is a highlight of my product or my solution. Now, what happens is usually some of the demos that you will go with, the executive don't have time, especially if they are high level, CEOs, CFOs. So imagine your most important benefit, your most important element of your demo has been buried down like 20 minutes later. They cut you off and say like, look, I'm having another meeting in 20 minutes. It was very delightful knowing about your product and services. I will look into it. Maybe you can send me this in PDF format. I will look into it later on. Is that okay? This is when you know you messed up. So how to do that, especially with high level who don't have time. Their demos would not even last more than 20, 30 minutes max. So you would go with everything all out on your hooks. You start with the most important things you have and don't set the stage. Straight away start with the most important thing. So this is a feedback from Chris Orlock, from the CEO of pclub.io. He says, here's a slam dunk guaranteed way to lose more deals. Do a grand finale at the end of your demo. Save the best thing for the end. That's not what great sellers do. So the best sales people flip the demo upside down. So Nate calls this bottom line up front. Journalists call this don't bury the lead. Don't bury the point of the article in the middle or at the end. It will get lost. Lead with it. Journalists know to put the key point right at the beginning. They spend the rest of the article expanding on that point. They give background context. That same goes also for the demo. So it's an article, demo, anything you do, always start with the upside down demo approach. It has been very successful. It works very well. So again, what does that even mean? How can we translate that? It's very simple. You have a basic feature demo, wasted time. The big reveal, delays. And the client feedback, most likely half of the demo, they already lost the momentum. So the way to do it is always lead with the core value, and that can be a use case that is relevant, a problem that is matched with a use case, or a problem with the benefit of your product immediately. And it should be in the first 5 minutes of your demo. Now, there's another interesting thing is that you need to identify the decision maker's position, because the language will differ. So a CFO is different than a CEO, is different than a CMO, is different than a CSO, and so many different positions. Everybody has their own KPI. So the outcome of the tool or the service you're providing needs to match the outcome they desire. So you have to lead with the outcomes they desire and the problem they are most likely will be facing. Do not give generic problems and expand that they will say yes. Maybe they are not accountable for it. Maybe they don't really own the problem. So you made a big mistake leading with a demo they don't own the problem with, and the major flagship benefit that you're providing is not a good hook. So even when you're doing the upside down demo, your mistake was not to lead with something that they will be accountable for based on their position in the organization. So that's basically it. I finished the 3 mistakes, but these 3 mistakes can kill everything. You're feature dumping, monologuing, and saving the best for last. Don't do that. Fix it. Make sure everything is concise, everything is clear, and your demo will be always your tool to get the momentum in proposals or second meeting and build strong relationships. Thank you so much for watching this. I wait part 2 because I didn't finish it. Thank you.